designated support staff to clear the room. Stand up and walk, now.
Hello, and welcome to The Watch. My name is Chris Ryan. I am an editor at theringer.com, and joining me in the studio, he just threw into triple coverage. It's Andy Greenwald!
Thus ending my season?
What season? I'm here for Liverpool. I'm here for the Philadelphia Phillies. I'm fine.
You just turned the page.
Yeah, like Bob
page.
Seger. Andy, great to see you, man. Here we are on Monday. We're going to talk about the season premiere of Industry. We're going to talk about the penultimate episode of Landman.
That was the penultimate episode?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Okay.
And we are going to talk about the Golden Globes. You can reach us at thewatch@spotify.com. You can watch us on YouTube at the Ringer-TV channel or on Spotify, where I hope you're listening to us, where you enjoy all of our works.
You can watch us on Spotify too, it turns out.
That's what I mean. That's what I just said.
Like they said, I hope you're listening to us on Spotify.
You can watch us on Spotify, where I also hope you're listening to us. I just kind of butchered that. And then you can follow us on Instagram, thewatchpod_.
We're both maybe. I mean, I think we have a lot to say today. But we're both apparently struggling a little bit.
I have no Jerome Powell, and I will be standing by him today.
You want to talk about the importance of an independent fiduciary policy for a nation?
Yes.
I just want to acknowledge
that you're wearing Eagles green, vaguely Eagles green today.
Oh, can I take it off? Can I wave the white flag of my t-shirt instead?
The problem is you have a Kevin Petullo t-shirt on.
It is funny because I was going to come in today and be like, if there's one underqualified buffoon whose job security I would like to imperil today in all of America, and I was going to say Kevin Petullo, but then I realized in the scheme of things, maybe there are other people who should lose their jobs first, and I should ratchet it down. But I do want to acknowledge the fact that last week I did predict the worst possible Sunday for your friend and the co-host of this podcast. But the thing about you is that I got it.
You know, you see it coming, and you don't avoid it. You drive right into it. Like I told you to watch Landman. I told you that you should like mix it up a little bit. I didn't think it would be healthy for you to do 9 hours of Eagles, Globes, Landman.
No,
and capping it with Landman. Did you do anything else after Landman?
Yeah, well, so I did have a sense, because I'm trying to do some self-reflection. I was like, the way that I feel...
The idea that you're not self-reflecting other times.
Never have.
So fucking
This
funny.
is new. This is like the midpoint of life. I'm like, maybe I should just turn the camera inward for a second.
Should I try therapy?
Criticize thyself. Oh, I've tried it. I just want to perfect it.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, I'm sensing some sort of like heart racing and like levels of stress, because it could be, I don't know if anyone's ever going to FOIA my text to Sheil during the game yesterday, but they might reveal this to be the case. I don't think I have a healthy relationship to sports. I think I have a deeply dysregulated relationship to sports.
Yeah.
And those on the other end of my text know this. So I was like, that plus that abomination of a television episode of Landman, plus a very dull Globes that we're going to get into. Did put me in a place of like, I definitely need to wind down a little bit here, you know, maybe a little magnesium, a little tea, some quiet time reading. And you know that the greatest joy of the last few weeks has been reading this recently translated 75-year-old German epic Effingers, which is like the best book I've read in years. And I was like, at least I have this 800-page tome. I'm nearing the end. I'm on page 700. But again, you can predict where this is going. The book spans life in a Jewish family in Germany from the 1870s to the 1930s.
Can't blame Kevin Petullo for that.
Well, equal levels of not seeing the field, I would say. So I was like, I will wind down by reading these chapters of this wonderful book. And like the first chapter I read was 1930. And I was like, this is going about as well as the second half.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
It didn't really take the edge off. History is a terrible spoiler sometimes.
You know, I think we're underselling the return of one of our favorite TV shows of the last 5 years. So we can say that had you watched Industry last...
No, I saved it. I mean, I saved myself. Yes. I watched Industry before Sunday.
Yes.
So I was slightly thinking
and
ahead.
we are going to be covering Industry episode by episode, and we have not watched ahead, which is sometimes to the annoyance of the creators of Industry. I think they like the whole picture to be seen, but you know, this is the way it's being released, so I think it is a little healthier to watch it like the way that everybody else is, rather than being like, well, you guys just wait till episode 4.
In Effingers, the book I'm reading, that would be called Being Volk, you know, like of the people.
I ain't saying Volk.
Is that what you were trying to say? I just wanted to like relate it to my perspective, which is 1930s Germany.
Do you want to talk about the Eagles at all? Do you need to get anything off your chest?
No,
I feel like you have a lot today. Like I'm here to just throw bounce passes to you and then screen away.
No, I think we should have started in a more healthy place.
Okay.
Which is acknowledging that one person in the room is an award winner today.
Oh my God, how could we forget?
Kaya, congratulations.
Kaya McMullen, one of the producers of Good Hang with Amy Poehler, which won the inaugural Best Podcast Award at the Golden Globes.
Won it going away if the branded Polymarket content was anything to go on.
How much liquidity were you exposed to in that Polymarket? Like, had you been betting on your own success or against it? Were you hedging?
What's a short?
That's how I feel.
I was shorting it?
That's what Harper Stern would have shorted it, I guess.
Yes.
No, it was incredible. It was incredible. Amy getting
awesome.
up there.
Thanks, guys.
Shouting out Bill and the Ringer and everybody. And, a really, really amazing achievement.
And
so congratulations.
To NPR.
I know. Seriously.
Cool.
Kicking them while they're down.
Also, by the way, the turnaround on the Globes, like for the bit that Nikki Glaser did, which was funny, and Mark Maron was a part of it.
Yeah.
The clip they used from Good Hang was from the Gwyneth episode, which went up like 5 days ago. So they were on
I know. Current.
Do you think the Globe should just start giving out awards for random other stuff?
Yes.
Like,
at this point, yes.
It felt like they had a little bit more dip on the chip for the podcast awards.
And the stand-up comedy special award.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But like, maybe they differentiate themselves a little bit by doing like, getting a little like MTV Movie Awards kind of vibes of like Best Kiss kind of thing.
I'm ready to talk about this. And first of all, I thought, like the way to spice it up would have been like if the Smartless guys had kissed.
Yeah.
Then it would have been.
We can do the headline at the top. So
the headline is congratulations, Kaya.
Yes.
The right woman and the right podcast won. That was thrilling. We can't believe you're here working with us again today. We're so sorry, but I guess that's life in Hollywood. You know, the highs to the lows.
The subhead, right? So it's like Jerome Powell being criminally investigated. Then it's like, oh no, the money, right? That's the subhead.
Oh the money? Should I have my alerts on? What's going on?
And then so the secondary headline here is we have nothing to talk about because this Golden Globes essentially mirrored the Emmys, with the exception of Ray Seahorn's victory for Best Actress Drama.
Right.
This was essentially chalk. It went Adolescence for Best Limited. Adolescence
TV,
won a bunch of the acting awards for limited series. Stephen Graham, Aaron Doherty, Owen Cooper, all racked up victories there. The Pit won Best Drama, Best Actor.
The Studio.
And The Studio won Best Comedy and Best Actor. So all that stuff basically mirrored what happened in the Emmys several months ago.
Yes.
And I think that's fine. I don't really have a huge bit of arguing. Jean Smart won for Best Comedy Actress.
Her date, Casey Bloys, looked great.
Was that her date?
No. Casey was at that table with the HBO gang, and he looked great.
So yeah, congratulations to those shows. I think that this is indicative of how I believe that if you're going to do these TV awards, you should get a little bit more creative with the calendar.
So I thought that was a relatively awful slog of a broadcast.
Well, we can get into the broadcast. I just meant
part,
like the takeaways.
But it would have been enlivened by some variety in the awards. But I also will circle back to, this is year 3, I believe, of the resurrected Golden Globes. And for those who haven't been paying attention at home, none of whom listen to this podcast, I imagine, but I don't know, maybe Kaya has a bandwagon, or like maybe Travis Kelce's tuning in for the first time and doesn't really know the history of the Hollywood Foreign Press
He was just
Association.
hoping to hear about what happens to the Avengers.
I think he's... Yeah, well, I'm happy to talk about it, but
you think Travis Kelce is like really mad that we didn't start with industry?
No, he's good. There's timestamps. You can follow along. Yeah. I do like this bit though. Like, what do you think Travis thought about that take? You fucking... Anyway, so this is year 3 of the rebooted Golden Globes. Yes. And prior to the rebirth, it was an absolute dumpster fire of chaos, bribery, and nonsense that often produced a relatively fun broadcast product because it was...
Skinny people drinking on empty stomachs.
Well said.
Yes.
Well said. It was a silly, drunken Hollywood party that no one took too seriously, that also did have a chaotic energy because the 6 overserved Belgian journalists who voted for it could be swayed in ways that created unexpected results at times. Yeah. And I point to this constantly, but the benefit of its place in the calendar and its differentiation from the Emmys in terms of like its window of what it considered allowed for it to be at the tip of the spear, as they say, in terms of anointing the next big shows. Homeland winning when it had only been as Best Drama Series when its first season was, still fresh. It had been airing for like 2 months, I think. 2011, I think that was, as an example. Everything has gotten much more chalk and in its new version. And the other reason why I think it's worth pointing out now is because when it was rebooted, there was a pretty disastrous broadcast that Joe Coy hosted. I'm not saying it was his fault, but nobody pointed to that as a particularly great night.
I had forgotten that, honestly. Yeah.
Nikki Glaser came on last year, and to her credit, like stabilized it as a relatively like, okay, I recognize this as an award show. She did a good job. She did a fine job again last night. She's a very decent host of these things. She had her moments. But as we also know, hosts can't make or break an award show.
I am a fan of hers.
Well, this broadcast, though, and the awards, I don't understand what its purpose is if it has now become so respectable as to basically, with one or two exceptions, Wagner Moura being the biggest one, they just seems to validate the polymarket pre-existing thinking of what the night is going to be.
Yes.
And then you pair it with an absolutely amateur hour broadcast, which we can get into. It was a kind of a giant shrug. I don't take any argument. Like Adolescents in the Studio were in our top 5. Like those shows are amazing. The people who won deserve to have won. But if you're just going to run them back the Emmys and preview and rubber stamp the Oscars, what's the point?
I agree with you. Obviously, there is the money to be made that it's on CBS. And it is clearly something that whatever reservations people had about its past, or the fact that it is owned and operated, I believe, by Todd Bowley and Penske Media, which is essentially like...
It's Penske Media, yeah.
Yeah, so...
Who own all the trades. Hollywood Reporter, Variety, and Deadline are all owned by the same company.
And now it's like basically an extension of that. I think it is still voted on a group of foreign journalists.
I don't think it's necessarily foreign anymore.
Oh, really?
I think they've made the Golden Globes great again.
they've gone okay.
They've brought the voting home.
Regardless, it's not a clear. I do not have clarity on like who is voting for Globes, right? Like the way you do for the Academy Awards or for the guilds. I agree with you. I think it kind of like, if anything, it's bad for the Oscars. I would say like having a show where broadcast on a major network where the contestants are all in attendance, and for the most part, with the exception of like a few people like Ricky Gervais,
Michelle Williams, and Bobby Cannavale, not nominated, but not there.
But shopping for a lizard, yes, right.
Have to talk.
It just kind of like takes a little bit of a couple of miles per hour off the Oscars, and especially since the Oscars are running so late. They're in March.
The nominations haven't even come out yet.
I know. Now, we can get into, if you wanted to. I mean, I think Sean and Amanda are obviously much better qualified to talk about Hamnet beating Sinners and whether that means it's like an Oscar race now for Best Picture and what's going on there. But with the exception of Pluribus, I thought there was a lack of creativity. Now, I think it would have been sort of... So I think The Pit and Adolescents and The Studio made a very good case to win all of those awards.
Absolutely.
So it's not like I'm upset about it, but it just does feel like we're watching the same show over and over again at a certain point. Like
and it just starts to seem like a bizarre humiliation ritual for the people involved in Severance to be like drawn out.
That's exactly right.
This fucking hospital show came out of nowhere.
Yeah. Basically what you're left with is observations about that broadcast. Yeah. Now I have a couple of like just news and notes here.
Sure, let's do it.
Let's talk a little bit about how the Globes made a choice to cram every inch and centimeter of broadcast space, both in terms of visuals and audio.
Insanity.
With stuff.
Yeah.
So not only did we have, you got your traditional awards set up, but then we also had play-by-play announcers, Kevin Frazier and Mark Malkin.
Yes.
Narrating, I guess, the events of the evening so that there was no dead time in between somebody being named the winner and them getting to the stage. Now, I will just say that doesn't seem like an amount of time that is fixed. Like it could take no time at all. It could take a little bit of time to get up there.
Right.
You know, like people need help getting up in their heels and stuff like that. Like there's all this stuff. And they always seem to nail the amount. Like I was impressed with Mark Malkin being able to say, Leonardo DiCaprio, blah, 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 and we'll see and then he would end as the guy got up on stage.
All due respect, but that's your clip. Because if you want to go viral, Chris saying, I was impressed with Mark Malkin last night, I think I think you are alone with that take.
That is the extent of my being
Sure.
impressed. I do not know anything about him or Kevin Frazier for that matter.
You don't watch a lot of like red
this is
carpet
something
stuff.
that we do not need as a society. We do not need play-by-play for the 5 seconds it takes Ray Seahorn to get up on stage.
It was hideous television. Truly. And they talked more than
any
Nikki Glaser
winner.
talked.
Yeah,
or
any winner
talked.
Yes.
When they weren't talking, the same person who controls the aux cord at a senior center jazzercise class in fucking North Hollywood was rocking the room.
Yes.
Stellan Skarsgård wins, and maybe they have announcers and they have an overcompensating DJ because the Beverly Hilton's a relatively small, dense room, and people have to navigate because only the superstars are in the front. So that was a long journey for an older man
yes.
who suffered. He's had a stroke 3 years ago. So it took him a minute, and he was in no hurry. He was being greeted. He was being celebrated. I do wonder if there was a little bit of like little Andor energy fueling that win, just because people.
What do you mean?
Well, just that like people vote for Stellan Skarsgård because he's one of the great actors of his
you
generation.
Think that sentimental value was like an Andor appreciation vote?
No, I'm just saying I wonder if that moved the needle at all. People were like,
I absolutely don't think so.
You don't think so? You don't think people are like, I have been reminded.
Andor, they would have nominated.
No, but I'm saying, first of all, we don't know who's voting on these awards.
I don't know
if the movie and the TV people
You're
are the
exactly
same.
right, man. That's true. We can't say.
Clip when Chris says you're exactly right, man. I'm trying to control this thing from the outside the booth. I'm like Kevin Patullo on the sideline. You know what I'm saying? I'm going empty when I shouldn't be. Long Walk, Little John's Yeah is playing.
Yeah.
Like on repeat because it takes so long for him to get up there. What about when Jesse Buckley won? That was a lovely moment for a movie I promise you I will never see.
Hamnet?
Yeah, no thanks. I'm good. I'm fine.
Just because of the content?
Like, watch.
Because
never before has there been a cinematic exploration of grief over child death like this. I'm like, I'll take your word for it. Congrats. I ain't reading all that. You know what I mean? I'm not on the big picture like some of us. I'm good. They're playing Isn't She Lovely? As she's walking up there. I thought that was incredible. But anyway, it was the
I have to admit, when the last 45 minutes, this show was honestly so irritating.
So long.
After Kaya's big win, my wife and I were like, let's get beers. So we went out, and I just
went out for beers.
Yeah.
You didn't have any beers in the house.
We just decided to get out of the house. I had subjected her to a long day of me. She was like, this is the longest football game that's ever happened.
It truly was.
Yeah.
My favorite, so they're doing the announcements. I just want to return to this. Everyone's favorite.
Yeah.
And Timothée Chalamet wins for my favorite movie of the 3 movies I saw last year, Marty Supreme.
You saw One Battle, Sinners, and Marty Supreme.
They didn't see Sinners.
Oh, you saw One Battle.
Like the Golden Globe voters didn't see Sinners, but proud of its box office achievement. I will see it. No, I saw,
Don't write yourself checks you can't cash.
I think that I can make it to seeing Sinners on my television at some point in the next 4 or 5 weeks. I saw K-pop Demon Hunters. You care to comment?
I haven't seen it. Yeah.
They were like, this is a direct quote. Well, Timothy thanked his girlfriend at the Critics' Choice Awards. Will he thank her again tonight?
Yeah, I saw it when he said that. I was just like, Mark, stay in your lane, brother. What? Like, don't worry about who he's thanking.
What about when Adolescence won for series? I don't remember. It was its final award, and the comment was, "Wow, Adolescence has swept these awards. Do we really have to wait 2 to 3 years for another one?"
There is another one.
They're making another one?
Yeah. That was like news to me, but then apparently he has said like, yeah, we'll return to Adolescence in a little while.
Is it going to be someone else's Adolescence?
No, I think it'll probably be following up with where...
I think they should just do someone else's Adolescence, someone with like a chill adolescence.
Oh, somebody who's just like hanging out.
Yeah, somebody who gets really into the X-Men at 12 and is just like, oh, it's interesting. It's a metaphor.
Oh, so you have a very specific idea about who's adolescence.
I don't think it should be fucking Hamnet's adolescence.
It should be wonders of you drinking a Diet Coke. Like, what is it?
First of all, I should drink Diet Coke when I was a kid. It was the straight stuff. That's why I am the way I am. I'm saying it won't be Hamnet's adolescence. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
From what I gather. Yeah, that was awful. What did you enjoy as the podcast resident heated rivalry fan? Did you enjoy the moment to celebrate the UFC before they entered?
That was CBS.
What do you
CBS Paramount has purchased the rights to the broadcast rights to the UFC. So that was just them like
reminding us.
putting a little bit of Marmite on top of the toast.
Do you think they also use the UFC people to make sure that not a single nominee said anything remotely political all night?
That's a really good point.
That was notable.
Jean Smart was the closest who got. I mean, if Hannah Einbinder had won, she would have
just lit everything.
She would have let him know.
She would have brought the Contra fire flamethrower up with her.
She also had to watch the Eagles game too.
That's true. So she was already in a foul temper.
Yeah. I did note with interest that there was a real lack of sloganeering, a real lack of any kind of political rhetoric whatsoever.
I thought that R. Scott Gemmell, when he won for the Pit, made a very nice comment about how working on artistic projects brings people together. Sure. Which is much like making a podcast, much like the X-Men. It's all basically one good time. Bunch of guys hanging out, having a good time.
I thought that the heated rivalry guys were quite good.
They're sweet.
I wonder whether or not that's a phenomenon that has permeated, say, the one battle after another table. Like who among the celebs were aware of that the rocking, superstardom that's happening to those guys?
I think people.
One other note I had just here is I guess this Hacks Bear thing is over.
Yeah.
Now the Bear still has more Emmys than Hacks, but it does feel like it's been 2 or 3 years nonstop of Hacks dubs.
Listen,
this is this is the thing I am least interested in the world, but I did note when it was oh yeah, I forgot the Bear is nominated, Jeremy Allen White's nominated, all this stuff is nominated.
We should do a bit that's just admittedly concern trolling, because I don't think either you or I care about this. And yet, Jeremy Allen White, are we sure?
Oh, I'm sure.
I mean, I'm sure because he's a wonderful actor and people love him, but I'm just saying he's had to now sort of show up, get glammed up to lose for the Bear multiple times, and now to lose for the Springsteen movie, a movie which he poured his heart and soul into that was not greeted with hungry hearts, let's say.
Sure. I think that...
And now he's going to be a Hut in your number one 2026.
Hut, right? He didn't have to get into...
I bet he mocapped the worm suit. You don't think he did?
Is this in Grogu? It's Mandalorian and Grogu?
M&G, yeah.
We can talk about that if you want to.
I don't want to at all. We're going to have to at some point.
Yeah, that was really... I thought Wanda Sykes was really funny.
I got 2 other notes.
Yeah.
I thought I was awesome. Rose Byrne won for, again, a movie I haven't seen, but I'd like to try.
You're going to try and you're going to watch If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You, but you're not going to watch Hamnet. Well, which one have you seen either of these movies? Okay, so this is how you stay winning. Somehow the terms of debate have been set by Mr. Cool over here. Wow, you're really going to choose that movie I haven't seen over the other movie I haven't seen? I haven't gotten to it yet. Yeah.
You've been going to parties? What have you been doing?
I've been watching fucking prestige television.
Right, well, that makes 2 of us. Anyway, I like Rose Byrne a lot as an actor. I thought that was awesome. I thought it was very sweet because she was so surprised. It was a great moment on stage for, as she said, a small movie winning these things is more meaningful. Similarly, like Wagner Moura, who's a really good actor, winning for a movie that I also is on my list. Would love to see Secret Agent. I also really appreciated that Rose Byrne thanked her brother George Byrne, who's a great photographer. I have one of his prints.
Jeez.
Very talented photographer.
Wow, you contain multitudes.
Yeah, I'd like to keep a couple things held back. 3 things.
Your
and now I've got 2
secret
left.
little I'm an art guy thing is interesting to me.
Do you think
because you're not just I go to museums, but you're I like to dabble in collecting.
Yeah, when I had an overall deal at Universal, I was dabbling. I bought 1 picture.
But sometimes I'll post.
It's not like I can afford to go to Max and Helen's.
I'll
you know
post
what I mean?
Stuff and you'll be like, "Where did you purchase that? Where'd you see that?"
I never asked if you purchased that.
Yeah.
I asked if you went to see Helen Frankenthaler at MoMA. I didn't say, did you purchase one of the 5 artworks hanging in the gallery? Did you?
No.
Okay. No. Also,
that's why I need Jerome Powell to stand fast.
I led a stacked podcast with a small tee-hee admission that I've been enjoying an 800-page German novel from 1951. No one's like, oh, does he like art? Find a new slant. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, I as someone who has also recently been asked to investigate the purchase or adoption of a bearded dragon for the household.
Yeah, what's up? Is that a new thing? Is that why are kids getting into that?
Classrooms. They are hardy pets for classrooms. So we used to have, when we were kids, we had like gerbils or like guinea pigs.
Yeah.
Now, at least in my, however many years I've been a parent now, I should know that number, 12 and a half. It's lizards, exclusively lizards.
Okay.
And bearded dragons seem like fine lizards. They sit there.
Hardy, like they can be pet a lot, or like
no,
hardy,
like they don't have to give the death talk too often.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
they should see Hamnet.
that's what I'm saying. Keep it separate.
Yeah.
Hamnet, but about Hamnet's pet bearded dragon.
We don't know for sure. We don't even know if Shakespeare actually wrote Hamlet. You know what I mean? There's some debate about that.
Right.
So who's to say that his kid didn't have a bearded dragon?
That's lost to the mysteries of time. Too bad there's not an Effingers-like history of the life of the Shakespeare family. I thought that was very sweet, the Rose Byrne thing. And yeah, like the Wagner Moura winning Best Actor and Secret Agent winning foreign film, like
awesome movie, by the way.
That's kind of, you did see it?
I did see Secret Agent, yes.
That is kind of what the Golden Globes used to do, both because of the international perspective or whatever it may have been, and the kind of slight element of surprise. And I think that's ultimately good. Yeah. So I think going into the Oscar nominations, like, oh, is Rose Byrne a player now? Is Wagner Moura a player now? Does Hamnet have the inside track over Sinners in the what is going to beat One Battle conversation? That stuff's interesting to me. And One Battle is awesome. That was really cool when Tiana Taylor won, and PTA giving very nice speeches.
Speaking of that speech, the PTA speech, how do you say the last name of the man who wrote Gravity's Rainbow?
I was going to ask you this.
Because I feel like Paul Thomas Anderson would know.
Unless we've been saying his name wrong and it's Paul Thomas Anderson. Because he said Thomas Pynchon.
I have been saying Thomas Pynchon for my whole life.
Yeah, like Thomas Pynchon.
Pynchon.
Yeah.
But like he said Pynchon.
He did.
And I don't know whether that's like a Valley thing or that was like, I'm just letting it loose. Like I have, what do they call it? Malapropisms or whatever. Like sometimes I like missay something or whatever. Like, but I feel like he would know. And that's a name that he is, like he might even have Thomas Pynchon's email address.
Communicated with him at some point.
Yeah.
Also, I just want to point out, the Man of the People thing, you're wearing a Liverpool sweatshirt, a Phillies hat.
Yeah.
And this is the most heated you've gotten so far in our podcast over the pronunciation of cult novelist Thomas Pynchon's name.
I just wouldn't want to...
Who's the art guy?
I wouldn't want to be mispronouncing the great man's name for this long. In fact, I was dapping myself up for reading Vineland last year.
You mean Vineland?
And maybe it is. Maybe it is.
We
Vineland.
don't know. And frankly, we have no way of ever finding out. That was interesting.
There were people who were much more like, it's Grantland.
Not Grantland.
Grantland. That's how I say it. But maybe that's like a Philly thing. You know, maybe it's like a casual kind of, you kind of swallow the end of the word thing.
You think that like Californians are more confident and they say the whole thing?
Yeah, Thomas Pynchon.
What voice is that?
That's like Surfer Dude.
Oh.
Like nasally kind of California Valley, hanging out, reading Thomas Pynchon.
Do you think a lot of surfers like Mason and Dixon? What is the Venn diagram of this particular character that you're creating for us?
He wrote a lot about Southern California.
I know, but I just feel like you are micro-targeting right now. I'm not mad at it. That's what I usually do.
That's all I got for the Globes, though.
Kaya, were there after parties for the podcast nominees? Anything?
I had my own personal after party at a sushi restaurant. But
nice. You had quite a weekend, or quite a extended weekend, right?
I mean, I worked a lot.
No, I wasn't saying you didn't provide value to the company.
To the shareholders.
I just meant it was like a fun weekend. It was like there was the Globes party.
Yeah, Chris and I partied it up at the Globes party.
No, that's fine. That was the party that Chris cleared the lane. He made sure that I wasn't there dragging you guys down, which I respect. Tim Simon's like, "Are you here?" I was like, "Talk to your friend Chris." I would have been. Must be nice. You didn't make the photo carousel though, of like Starry Night at the Hollywood Reporter Spotify party. It was the front page over the weekend. I got my picture taken with Tim at that party, and he was trying to give me tips about it. Yeah. But I think I just looked like a balding accountant at that party, so I'm not surprised I didn't make the Hollywood Reporter carousel. Sorry to go against the grain here, but the Hollywood Reporter ran a series of photos from the night. It was the headline over the weekend. They were very proud of their party, and it was like John Legend at the party, and then it was like Chaka Khan at the party, and maybe there was one of the Heated Rivalry people was there. The guy who plays Scott. Okay, and the kid from Sinners was there. So there's pictures of these people. Yeah. And then there's a picture of Tim. He looked great.
Yeah.
He's the king of the red carpet these days. Looks amazing. Proud of him. And then it was like the circulation director for Hollywood Reporter and Penske Media on the couch. And I told him he was correctly placed in the carousel. But if the circulation manager got on the couch, I'm just saying.
Did Bill make a carousel?
No, but I thought Bill was just doing a drive-by.
He stayed a little longer than I think he thought he was going to, but that's just because, his homies were there.
That's nice. His homies Miles Caden and
Shaka Khan.
Shaka Khan.
Let's do industry. Let's talk a little bit of big picture here.
Let's do it.
Among my favorite shows of the decade.
Absolutely.
One of, I think, like the shows we've been most, if we could be proud of a show, I think we're proud of industry, right?
Yeah.
Like this is something that we jumped on early on, like from the earliest days of its release. I was very curious about it, and to see it not only find a bigger audience, but also to watch this, like the swagger it has now is like really something pretty awesome. Like it is.
And the response.
I have nothing to do with it.
Rave reviews. Universal, not just acclaim, but universal coverage, which was not the case for season one. And we were joking about that. And I would say that for as much as we've spent a lot of time talking over the last few weeks and months about how The Pit, which also returned over the weekend, over the last few days, represents something that we love about television and we have always loved about television in terms of just like the reliable clockwork. Here's a setting, here's people you don't know yet, but you will fall in love with, and you can sort of set your watch to it, but you give yourself over to it. That aspect of TV that we grew up with. The other part of TV that keeps me fascinated, keeps me affectionate, keeps me passionate, keeps me wanting to work in and around it, is the way that TV can grow and evolve over time. And especially combined with opportunity, with good fortune, with good casting, with good taste, and with a certain level, and in the case of Mickey Down and Conrad K, as we're about to talk about it, quite a bit of fearlessness. Mm-hmm. These things can evolve beyond anything we or maybe even the creators could imagine. And seeing that development over seasons is both exciting and rare at a time when fear still does kind of dominate in the executive suite, where opportunities are fewer and where a lot of these streaming services either pull the plug early on stuff or cap things.
Yes.
2 seasons, 3 seasons, stay in your lane, that kind of conversation with a network. So that also feeds us.
Yeah, and I think also there's a boldness to honestly, like the for lack of a better term, the geography of the show. Because a lot of TV shows, even if they go through reinventions, stay rooted in Oz stays in the prison until the prison is no more, and Justified more or less bangs around the hollers, and long running shows that like are essentially like maybe have good seasons, bad seasons, up seasons, down seasons, or are relentlessly creative, still kind of keep to a baseline of experiences that you can have in the show. Now, there's consistency in industry in terms of the way people talk and what they're talking about, and maybe even the Nathan McKay soundtrack, although I think that they have like obviously started to invest more in needle drops as the years have gone on. But the thing that really struck me about this one, and the creators have talked about it being kind of a soft reboot for the show, or the idea of like, basically refueling the plane midair, is how I never know where the next scene is going to be. Mm-hmm. And that is still a sensation that I think is thrilling. Like, now, it takes away a little bit of like the quote unquote reliability factor of television, because you're just like, okay, now we're going to go to this place. It's like, they're always, in Mad Men, they're going to go back to the office at some point. There is no office in industry anymore. Now, they may start one, and there may be a pure point, in name only, and everything but name.
Yeah.
But I think the thing
like
that
Sterling Cooper, Draper Price.
Yeah, the thing that excites me about the show is moments like Rishi's corporate espionage gig or political espionage gig that he's doing for Harper, and he shows up in a bar that looked a lot like the Devonshire, but I don't think was, and is sort of kind of haunting the sort of outer edges of a wake that's happening there, and steals a guy's phone to get some political information to supply Harper so that she can short this company. We'll get into all of that. Just even going to that bar, like most TV shows would not scout a new place, find a existing bar. I do not think they built that on a set, and go shoot there with a ton of extras to give you a sense of like London as a living, breathing place where shit like this is happening on a Wednesday or a Thursday. That's so exciting. Like that's a quality that this show has that I can't think of another current show that has that right now.
The Rishi scene may have been my favorite in the episode. And before we get into the specifics, I just want to follow up on what you said, which was creators have talked about it as a soft reboot. This is a hard reboot.
Yeah.
I was trying to think of any other shows, contemporary or not, that have attempted to kind of speed race a completely new protagonist and a completely new status quo concurrently in a season premiere. Like, for example, with Mad Men, the show would evolve and the firm changed, but the principles stayed the same.
Yeah, and
the trappings and the circumstance changed.
Yeah.
When we would talk about, shows that really not just revolutionize transformation and evolution within serialized narratives, but shows that really set the template. The Wire, for example.
Season 2.
Each season in a way, but season 2 certainly more than any other. But the one thing that The Wire did was it was expanding the aperture of its view of the city. So the police department was the police department, but there were different nodes connecting it now to City Hall or to the docks or to the school system. And they would fold them in until they were all existing concurrently. Like McNulty, again, his circumstances and his sobriety changed, but he was still a Baltimore police, as they say.
Yeah.
This show is not doing that. And the degree of difficulty for this premiere cannot be overstated. And I think any hesitation I have in giving it a full-throated 5-star review, because again, I've only seen one, is mostly because I'm dazzled at the audacity of it and trying to keep up with the changes. There is no, and I feel like this is relevant to the characters in industry, there is no safe word for this show. There really isn't a home base to return to make the audience, and I will admit, this is a kind of a basic ass on the couch kind of take here. Oh, okay, we're in a place I've been before, and I've seen it, and I know what the stakes are here. They're not giving us that, which I commend, but takes a second, especially when we are giving so much screen time to so many new players, so much new content, and so many new levels of interaction. Can you think of anything that has attempted this or that it made you feel like? And I don't mean to put you on the spot because I thought about it all weekend.
No,
and
I think the Wire season 2 would be the closest thing I can think of in terms of the season starts. I can't remember in my mind whether I knew that was coming or not. I don't remember like the Wire.
The infrastructure,
the journalism,
the ecosystem was different.
Yeah, it wasn't like they were doing tons of short form video to be like, just so you know, this is what's going to happen. It was like, if I remember correctly, it started and I was like, so where's Omar? Like I think if you were watching this, you might be like, where's Henry Muck? Where's Eric? Like you might be looking for people that you've become close to. You might be like, where's Rob?
Or you understand, and again, like we have weeks to talk about this and unpack it and see where it goes. I think one of the things that made Industry Season 3 not just the best season of the show thus far, but like I think it was our number one TV show of the year that it aired, was because Mickey and Conrad understood in their bones the rhythms of the show they'd created and that this had reached its endpoint, that there was nowhere else to go with this structure of Pierpoint and everything that it entailed. So all in on that. But it is worth noting that like one of the things that Pierpoint provided was a structure for the viewer to understand, oh, the characters are out doing drugs and boning each other until dawn. That will have an impact on their workday. Thus, when I see them at work, I carry that context. So I understand the stakes of all their decision making. Now that Harper is still, a complete chaos agent and a heliocentric ball stopper, I would say, in terms of financial flow and also information flow. But she's the boss, but that she's not quite the boss yet. Again, the episode had to remind us of that. Okay, well, she can behave this way in this context, but Hugo Mosnes still at least believes that he's pulling her strings, thus the Eric thing. Yes. I'm not saying the premiere didn't give us the context. I'm saying we're starting from scratch.
It just also moved incredibly quickly, and it had a lot of moments that, like, for instance, the opening sequence of the show features Charlie Heaton, who people probably recognize from Stranger Things, playing a financial journalist who when the show starts...
I mean, I haven't been a journalist in a while, but his behavior tracked with how I remember being a journalist.
But when the show starts, he is essentially stalking Kiernan Shipka's Haley character as she goes through like a night out, starting at a wine bar, going to a nightclub. He hooks up with her.
This tracks with my experience in London, too. Every austere wine bar with a beautifully steamed piece of hake ends with an all-night nightclub where they exclusively play New Order remixes.
That's right. I mean, a boy can dream. And then the next morning, he reveals that he is, in fact, a journalist and that he is looking into Kiernan Shipka's character's boss's behavior. And
in
her
his
boss...
defense, he made her coffee, too. So let's not act like he...
Yeah, and they cut away. We don't know exactly what happened. He could have just been like...
She woke up fully clothed.
Yeah, he's like, why don't we just catch up on Landman?
Let's cuddle.
Yeah.
And watch Landman.
Their Eagles highlights are on. You want to check that
out? Snooze.
Her boss is played by Max Minghella, who is a co-leader of a company called Tender, which is... currently at the start of the show is basically like a Stripe or PayPal for porn sites.
Yeah.
And they are working for their primary client, or one of their primary clients is this company Siren, which is like an OnlyFans-esque kind of user-generated content place. And
that is ascendant. It's like starting to devour the marketplace.
Yeah. And concurrent with that, the British government is starting to get into online safety acts, mentions Siren by name. There's in the House of Commons where they're talking about bringing a bill or making some new laws that would restrict the sort of access people have to this, or whether or not it's even legal at all to do it. So that dovetails quite nicely with Whitney, Max Minghella's character, who is looking to diversify what Tender does and wants it to not only be like he doesn't want them to just be money launderers for porn companies. He wants them to be like a 21st century financial institution.
Like a post-bank bank, nimble for the world that is no longer,
and he's
in the
been
words
going
of the show, they don't want to be the PayPal of Bukkake anymore.
And he's been going to Africa every couple of weeks to expand the footprint of the company. Meanwhile, Cal Penn, who plays a guy named Jay, I believe, right? Jonah? What's his name?
You're the one that takes the notes.
Well, I'm just vibing. I mean,
this is me.
He plays Atterbury, I think is his name, his character's name, his last name. He just wants to fucking party and hook up with girls and vape in the office, and just he's like, we've iterated enough. This is an awesome life. We're rich.
Yeah. We have zip ups, quarter zips with our name on it, our company's name on it.
And so there's that tension. Now that takes up half the episode. Half the episode is about new characters, new companies, new ideas.
You're right. His name is Jay, by the way.
Great. And we're being asked to understand a lot about English government, English laws, financial institutions that we've not familiar with, financial journalists investigating those financial institutions. All the while in the sort of side is Harper, who is running like a new shop under
Mostyn Asset Management,
the umbrella of Otto Mostyn, who is the sort of like lord from the third season, who recognizes in Harper a kindred kind of outlaw spirit, and he has set her up with her own shop underneath his kind of investment bank or whatever he's got going on, and. Her job is to essentially find companies to short. But what happens is she starts wanting to short companies that are run by friends of Otto, and they have a big showdown. They sever their relationship. And by the end of the episode, Harper has talked Eric into coming back from the Hamptons, it looks like.
Yeah, or Jersey. Because he's at
a Trump course, right?
He's playing, first of all, kudos to Mickey and Conrad. They got a 45-47 cameo.
That's true.
Huge. Can't believe the show's not moving to CBS.
Yeah.
But he's on a golf course.
Yes. Yeah.
And he's not satisfied.
Trump or Eric?
Both of the great men. Neither great man is really satisfied.
Eric doesn't like heaven. He's retired. He's playing golf. They go to get steaks and have sex with young ladies, and he's just like, the action is the juice. I got to get back to work. So he goes back to England. He hooks back up with Harper. They're going to start a new shop. And I think that what we're going to get based on this first episode is seeing characters see how far they can push things. Because I think, to me, this episode was about ethics or the abandonment of ethics.
Oh.
Yeah, to some extent. What did you think of it?
Where do you stand on ethics?
Well, I think we're watching them
erode,
go away. Yeah, I think we're watching the slow degradation of an idea of like an internal moral compass, and it's because of the elevation of industries like finance, because they're like, look, the only thing that matters is like your margin of victory. So you could say, oh, it's always been like this. It was just dressed up like guys like Otto, but what is the moral compass of the people who are making these decisions, who are going after stories, who are going into Africa to promote financial institutions? Like, what is guiding them aside from power and victory and wealth?
I mean, I think fundamentally one of the reasons why the show is so successful is because it is one of the few entertainments of our era that is willing to run right at the emptiness that is at the core of basically everything we do.
Yes.
And I don't just mean like that we have a job just talking about stuff twice a week, because I love our job. And, you know, now that we are recognized by the Golden Globes, not us, but like the category, like hopefully we can continue to build, you know, for equity. I don't know. But like, you know, to watch football in America yesterday is not just to experience massive disappointment and embarrassment and shame. It's also to see that every commercial is either for drug medication or AI.
Yeah.
And the entire economy is just AI being propped up by ads.
But you do wonder
like
whether any other company in the world has any money.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
And that what Harper...
Like, we literally can't get a Nike ad.
No, and what Harper does, and what all of the, you know, when we're like, oh, we don't really understand financials, that's because the product that they do is FanDuel for corporations, right? It is all betting and hedging and shorting on the potential growth of things, as opposed to, and I mean, this is not me on a soapbox, but like, instead of actually the company making something or doing something, right?
Yeah, I mean, doesn't Whitney say something like that? He's like, we're just like taking things that people don't need and selling it to them.
A great speech about what capitalism is and what online stuff is and what the service they provide, and how, like, well, at least in these tough, you know, these uncertain economic times, like masturbation remains like a reliable engine of commerce and of interest. So what I like about the decoupling from the sort of, at this point, show the performance-based, like, old world security of a bank, is that all of these people are degenerates, and they're doing the same things they were doing before under increasingly changed or compromised context. So I went from thinking that Rishi had also reached a natural endpoint with the extremity of his final scene in season 3 to realizing that he is maybe the ideal avatar for this kind of storytelling in season 4. I thought that scene was phenomenal, because the abilities that he has in the workplace of Pierpoint are in no way separate from the degeneracy of his life as a gambler. And now what is left to him as a career is a sort of bizarre amalgamation of both.
Well, now he's just like a hired gun. And it's not even like that he's a hired gun to do the things that he was doing at Pierpoint. What Harper seems to
risky is...
Well, what Harper seems to have recognized in him is his ability to be multiple people at once.
Right.
You know, and to live these secret lives and to keep plates spinning in the air. So it's not really his financial acumen that she's going after. It's his ability to walk into a wake and pretend like he belongs there, and then steal a guy's phone and then replace it, and then immediately give that information to Harper. Or maybe, I can't remember. I guess he didn't replace it. I think he straight up stole it.
He didn't. No, he brought the phone back.
Oh, he did?
He I don't know if he emailed it to himself and deleted the send. I don't know. Harper ended up with the
hard copy
speech that was going to be delivered in Parliament, but he put the guy's phone back in his bag, so he would find it later, and he finished his gin and tonic, and then went about his day.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about the button pushing.
Also, just to say that sometimes the hardest things that season premieres have to do on ongoing shows is to walk back decisions that were very dramatically evocative in the previous season finale.
So what would be one that you're talking about?
Bringing Eric back. And I thought this was done well. I was going to commend that, because I think the show, and I think you agree with this, it really does sing when Ken Leung is back on screen, and particularly when he's paired with Myha'la. And I get that for marketing purposes and maybe for the long arc of the show, it's always been about Yasmin and Harper. But I think the Harper-Eric dynamic is the beating heart of the show on a practical level. The Kyle Schwarber, if you will. I wonder if we're pivoting to baseball.
Sure.
He kind of makes the whole lineup work. So I liked the way he was brought back, and I liked their new dynamic as potentially we see each other and peers, but also I don't care, get him back. And that is the nuts and bolts of TV that I often enjoy. I don't care that he could not have been exiled further. We need him back. Let's move on.
And to the point that we were talking about earlier about the reinvention, but also there was a safer version to do this show. I mean, this show could have just stayed at Pierpoint for 5 seasons. And season 4 could have been Harper has ascended to the top of Pierpoint. Eric is now below her in the the corporate pecking order. And they each have like emotional and real blackmail over each other in the Game of Thrones that's going to happen within that like very specific physical context of we're on the trading floor, there's a C-suite, but then they go out and get drinks and then they come back. Like there was a repetition happening, and now it is almost like much more run and gun. I was going to call it guerrilla filmmaking, but they have obviously also the other major development over the course of the series is Mickey and Conrad becoming more assured filmmakers and imparting a lot of their cinematic influence onto the show.
Okay, so wait, put a pin in that, because I do want to talk about that. I wondered, and I don't mean this to be under the category of concern trolling, but it's just something that I'm watching, is that this is a show that began, again, essentially as a completely different show, with completely, I'm not saying Mickey and Conrad were overmatched, but they were green. And the premise of the show, what the pilot promised, and we loved the pilot, was that these are... We're entering this financial institution at the lowest rung and seeing who is hungry enough, degenerate enough, driven enough, whatever, to ascend. And for as unconventional as a lot of the storytelling was in season 1, you start at the bottom of the totem pole, looking up. That's conventional.
Sure, that's Grey's Anatomy. It's the pit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm curious about the show's internal. What's the thing, like when you're like the level, in terms of where we are in relation to underdogs or overdogs. Because going into this episode, and again, in a consequence-free, amoral universe, which is the show is now very confidently steering through, maybe these are outdated terms. But everyone is an overdog right now on the show. Maybe with the exception of Kiernan Shipka's Haley character, who is literally an assistant. Everyone else we're at the highest level now. Harper is walking into these rooms as an equal.
I would push back on that.
I think that's fair. I think that she's still looked down upon for reasons that are cosmetic and racial and class and being an American and being an upstart, as Hugo says to her, or she says to Hugo, like, you hired me because of what I look like.
Right. And
my attitude. That's fair. And I overspoke. I went too far on that.
Well, I would just say that I think it's representative of the Wild West feel that global finance has right now. Okay. You have these old storied institutions,
no more experts.
Goldmans and whatevers. A lot of them got washed out in 2008 anyway. I mean, some of those great big banks, I don't mean great like I loved them. I just mean like the big great banks.
Who are you bank guys? Lehman?
I was a Lehman guy.
I kind of like Bear Stearns.
Yeah, sorry. I got to go back and watch Too Big to Fail to find. But I think about how many household names did not exist 5 years ago now.
Yes.
Whether it's cryptocurrency stuff or whether it's AI stuff or whether it's just like banks that get involved with the financing of the purchase of like European football clubs, or how much private equity is out there where you're just like, so why does Redbird own this like now? Like,
what about I was reading the Times today, and there was a comment about how David Ellison is seeking to become the most powerful executive in Hollywood history, thanks to the backing of his father, currently the 5th richest person in the world.
Yes.
And David Ellison was born in 1983 and started Skydance when he was 23 to make a movie called Flyboys because he was kind of into aerial tricks and was an amateur pilot.
Same.
And now, I know, but look how your career's diverged. You're still a better hang, but...
Well, we don't know. Dave could be an amazing hang. We have to do the actually, David Ellison, come on the pod, man.
You want David Ellison to come on the pod? Okay.
But no questions about the merger. It's all just like a hang thing. Like it's just about like who are your guys?
Chris Ryan, the next anchor of the CBS Evening News. David Ellison, we salute you. You've made some bold choices, and we in America favor the
Would
bold.
you watch CBS Evening News if I was the anchor?
Yeah, because I would support you. We've established and I was
But
talking.
you don't listen to the rewatchables. Like, would you watch me every night as I reported the news?
Yeah, I also watch Landman for you every week, and you still have not seen a Miyazaki movie.
Don't blame me for Landman. You have free
are
will.
on the hook for this episode.
All right, fine.
This episode that most represented your own personal opinions about woke in the workplace and what's happened on college campuses.
Yeah.
This is just CR
I can tell
coded.
you're chomping at the bit. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
Let's go back to what you said, because we're
the
still on industry.
Cinematic ambitions of the show.
It was very notable in the opening, particularly, which began, just to bring it all the way back, you were talking about Charlie Heaton is investigating and he's following two unknown characters circling each other, dancing in the club. And it was interesting to think about the transformation as the season was beginning. Again, what I love about the show is that evolution over time. But one of the things that the show started with, and it wasn't noisy. It was quite austere and minimalist. And also the way Lena Dunham directed the pilot was a lot about the lines, the coldness of everything. Nathan McKay's score did a lot of work. And it was also before they discovered what Cigar Radio was doing in the background as Rishi, and how the noise of that became kind of the tempo of the show. But just think about it visually, from something that did seem rather austere and minimalist and cold and modern, has started to turn under their directorial guys into something much more lush and sensual and Baroque almost. And it wasn't, what's the Albert Finney eating movie?
Tom Jones?
Yeah, it wasn't Tom Jones-esque like the season finale was last year. It wasn't the setting for that, but it was very visually different. And even the way the camera moved or didn't move in the Charlie Heaton, Kieran Shipka like table confrontation, I was like, okay, it's just a different show when the visual style changes so much.
Yeah, and also, but like it's obviously something that they're thinking about a lot. And I thought that they did a really great job of like giving each new location and each new setting kind of a different visual language. Like I thought Tender had
They're so good at names.
But it had a little bit more of like a on its axis kind of like...
Because it's Canary Wharf, dog.
I know. But then when it's at night, it's so much more like the ecstasy's kicking in and it's like everything is so lush and everything is kind of like the one perfect spotlight hitting Kieran Shipka as she's standing by the DJ booth, because like the music is promoting like this almost like fantasy land. Like it's just very smart filmmaking. It's accomplished filmmaking. I think they have like a long career ahead of them once they stop doing industry, but they can obviously take industry and make it into the movie of their dreams anyway.
Did you feel like it was a little too close to home when there's the, there's the dinner scene where lifelong friends who are about to have frankly, a rather dramatic rupture, Jay and Whitney go to dinner in London, and one of them is just like sticking to water, and the other one like orders, let's say, a second Murphy's Stout, and one guy's the other's like, I think you should be clear-headed tomorrow because we have a podcast. Did that remind you of anything from the fall?
It does remind me of your dalliance with NA. Don't know if you want to talk about it.
No, but I was just wondering if that struck any chords.
I feel like I have that stuff pretty under control.
You
now.
100% do.
Yeah.
That said, we do have a meeting afterwards that has just recently popped up on your calendar, and I do think that you should sit down for it.
An intervention about having 2.5 beers. Yeah.
Do you have any other thoughts on the imports, the American imports of the show?
I think we can use that as a little bit of a time to talk about watching new people learn how to speak Mickey and Conrad. So this is a very sharp, very, I think, probably like weighty show when it comes to the dialogue. And it's like you're kind of almost saying things that feel like they could be written, but they are the perfect things to say. Like I would imagine like everybody needs like a little bit of like lead time to get used to the dialogue. And I thought Max Mihala was awesome at it, and I thought everybody was actually quite good at it. Cal Penn, I'll be curious to see where that character goes. Like if they keep him around or if that's kind of hey, it's that guy I know, but he was only in one episode, you know?
Like he was the Kyle Chandler.
I didn't want to spoil.
I didn't say which show.
This is how Friday Night Lights begins.
Could have been home front.
Yeah.
Could be lanterns. I don't know.
Yeah. And yeah, the newer characters, I was going to say the newer characters, I think the newer characters all sort of participate in some of the more, oh my days moments of the show where it's like, we got a dildo coming out. Kieran Shipka says some things I'm not going to repeat while on ecstasy.
Yeah.
About bubblegum.
She does.
And then at the end,
think it was about bubblegum, but bubblegum played into
it was used as sort of the visual imagery. And then at the end, we have the return of Kit Harington as Henry Muck, who is crushing up pills to snort off of a harpsichord.
That he's not supposed to touch.
Yeah. I imagine that is just probably the way Henry Muck gets down.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So I can't wait for the next episode.
I think the best segue into talking about Landman would be a quote from Industry 401. And this is, if you've done timestamps, this is okay. I don't think it spoils anything. But I do think that there was one line that really presaged my interaction with this episode,
I'm just getting ready.
That woke shit no longer moves the needle in this new world.
So I am going to let you cook.
No. I think you should defend yourself.
I don't have to defend anything. I've always been very, very clear that I do not agree with everything that, and I don't even know.
Yeah.
Like, look, let me rephrase this.
You always said that you frequent Daily Caller because you like to open yourself up to a wide range of ideas.
Taylor Sheridan has a history of introducing characters to represent ideas in the culture wars that I think he is on the wrong side of, probably. And
that probably doing a lot of work, God.
So when the character of Pagan,
just talk about it. Let Kaya know what she's producing when she's not winning Golden Globes.
Ainsley's non-binary roommate at TCU has come down from Minnesota, of all places.
Great timing.
To be a sports medicine major at TCU.
Yes.
I don't know, like, we could look up if TCU has a heralded program, but
yeah.
I personally don't. Joel Anderson, an alumnus from TCU.
Perhaps he could weigh in.
I would love to hear if Joel's got any thoughts on the Horned Frogs.
Say more about Pagan.
Pagan is already all set up in the freshman dorms, and they have a ferret, and they have a lot of restrictions about what Ainsley can and can't do in terms of making noise, having animal products, cooking,
playing music, using pronouns.
Yes. And so Ainsley then goes to...
Also, Pagan uses a reusable water bottle, which is just appalling.
Don't you use a reusable water bottle?
Physician, heal thyself. Go on.
So anyway, this is an opportunity for multiple characters in the show. Well, really just Angela and Ainsley to discuss people like Pagan and how they're so unhappy about themselves that they take it out on other people by making them, do gymnastics to figure out their pronouns and not play music in their dorm rooms and stuff like that. I'm legitimately curious to see if Pagan is in the 10th episode and if there is any reason for this character's introduction, and frankly, way more time spent with Pagan and Ainsley's dorm roommate than Tommy's firing at the end of the episode and the collapse of his relationship with Cammy.
Look, the Pagan interlude is appalling.
Yes.
The way the episode is constructed, in which everything is given the same weight and nothing matters, is disqualifying. This was a new level of dog shit in the history.
I don't know why you're like, I wrote this and it's my fault that you're watching it.
I didn't say you wrote it. I just think they probably send you drafts. And you could be like, go a little further on this. It's a little subtle.
Yeah.
I also think that Pagan gets all the headlines, but the things that occur around this character, such as Ainsley, who, as stated, is played by, I believe, a 39-year-old woman.
She's not that old, but yeah.
Playing a 17-year-old.
Yeah.
Who is, we are told in this episode, is not going to college, is going to stay in a dorm for 1 week of cheerleading camp. Why Pagan is there early, unclear.
During cheerleading camp?
Yes.
I suppose to soothe whatever other camps are having, like she can...
Well, no, the dorm is a safe space, so perhaps Just want to just kind of like, put down some
roots.
Yeah.
Make the ferret comfortable.
Angela, who is meant to be an adult human, behaves the way parents behave when they take their 3-year-old to preschool for the first time.
Yep.
Complete and total emotional meltdown.
I think at least Tommy is like, what are you crying about?
Because
Ainsley's going to camp for 2 weeks or something. Yeah.
Man up woman, basically.
Yeah.
The only thing that makes Angela feel better initially is for saying goodbye to her daughter for a week, is calling her personal concierge at Neiman Marcus to shop it out. And then when Ainsley has a problem, swooping in like the fucking angel of death.
And renting out like the Soho House of Fort Worth, basically.
For margarita parties.
Yeah.
She had a great scene with my old classmate Miriam Silverman, who I'd like to remind people won a Tony. And the reward that this culture gives stars of the theater is the right to debate pronoun usage with Ali Larter.
Was delightful in that scene.
She was.
Both with Ainsley and Angela.
She had the right sensibility for that.
Yeah.
I totally agree. But the other thing, and this goes into my larger point, which is, despite how I've led off, not necessarily even a culture war point, because frankly, we may have lost that one. As a man who's been reading about 1930s Germany, you got to know when to fold them, okay? It's possible.
We had a good run.
We did have a good run having culture.
Remember the 90s?
It was sick. Yeah. Totally agree. The absolute inconsistent idiocy of a show in which Ainsley is written purely as a bikini-wearing vessel for an angry, isolated, wealthy 55-year-old man to pour whatever opinion he has that week is just frankly gross and dumb. It's not the politics. It's that Ainsley is smart enough to say, oh, your name's Pagan, like the godless religion. And then Pagan is like, this is a ferret, a widely known animal. And Ainsley's like, what's that? And Pagan goes, like a weasel. And Ainsley says, well, what's that? Make it make sense. When Tommy gives her advice...
Stop pointing at me. I didn't write it.
You're on the hook for this.
No, I'm not.
This was my Sunday, and Kevin Petullo's not walking through that door.
I told you to watch this on Thursday. I knew what was going to happen on Sunday. I knew how it was going to feel.
It makes for good radio. Tommy says, make his not bad advice to a grown woman who is cosplaying as a child. Make good choices.
Yeah.
And to him, good choices is don't have a 5th margarita when you're out on the town and off campus. And Ainsley says, I don't drink margaritas. There's too much sugar.
Yeah.
We fast forward to mom coming to save the day with a pool party. And the game being played by Ainsley is Margarita Marco Polo. So her abstinence policy lasted about as long as mine did in London. And it's just the inconsistency. So we talk about the impressive nature of the Taylor Sheridan industrial complex that like, wow, like hate him or love him, this man generates a lot of television.
Thanks for saying we. Yeah.
But there is the most charitable version of criticism for this show is that there's actually a reason why very, very, very few people attempt this and almost no one successfully pulls this off. The act of solo writing an ongoing dramatic series. If you're Mike White and you're telling one story per season,
one story every couple of years,
sure,
yeah.
or Brad Inglesby with a task, like these guys work alone and they do good work. The reason you don't do it for an ongoing series is because an ongoing series demands a multiplicity of points of view and perspective and maybe voices being like, you might want to run that through the filter a couple more times to make it make sense or make it be funny or make it be entertaining or make it fucking have a point. Aaron Sorkin pulled off the solo practitioner act and he had a debilitating crack addiction when he did it. Okay? I don't know what Taylor Sheridan's excuse is. You need human perspective, not just to make the Pagan character work as anything other than as a strong non-binary. We're not saying strong men anymore in this world. It's that for a character like Ariana, who exists on the show and is well played and, you know, is in many ways, we've pointed to that relationship with Cooper as like, that's kind of the heart of the show.
I thought so, yes.
And maybe
for
what the show should have been.
Right.
But having a second person in the room, maybe even a second female person in the room, pronouns TBD, could say, there's probably more meat on the bone of this character than she could get engaged or she could get sexually assaulted. And there's nothing else for her to do.
Sure.
It's just lame. It's despicable and it's gross.
I agree.
Thank you.
I agree.
I won. This is like that show on the internet where like Mehdi Hassan is like surrounded by 30 MAGA people.
But nobody's arguing with you.
Yeah, but both of us won.
This was a disappointment. I read an interview with Jacob Laughlin in The Hollywood Reporter. He was obviously very happy to be part of the show, so I don't want to misconstrue what he was saying. But he was talking about how this season, the first season that they got all the scripts, they saw where their arcs were going, and they shot them in whatever order they shot them, but they understood the entirety of the story. And that this season, they would shoot things. Sometimes they would shoot episode 6, and then they would shoot episode 3. And it feels like that.
Yeah.
I think he was saying, like, isn't it crazy that Taylor's just generating all this stuff? But this feels like something that was written out of order. And that there are scenes that are kind of like mildly trying to correct for certain things, like earlier in the season, or even just ignoring them. You know, like I honestly, like the more compelling thing is the idea of, like, we were talking about reinventions, like making Tommy poor or making Tommy into some kind of, like, giving him a new challenge rather than every week I just solve the biggest problem in Texas and then go home to my crazy wife. You know, now it could be like an interesting, like, obstacle. Now, I don't necessarily think you're going to be there for season 3 to find out, but this was, you know, the pagan stuff was reminiscent of things that have happened in Lioness, where Dave Annabelle's character has spirited debates with his teenage daughter. It also reminded me of the Piper Perabo character from Yellowstone, who is a climate change activist.
Oh boy.
You know, I think Taylor likes to get some characters in there and just to throw some ideas around, you know? This season just feels like a little bit like undercooked. Like, or that, like, to your point, like, there was a deadline. There is, like, writing going on. There's filming going on. But even the performances don't feel geolocated to the point they are in the season.
No.
Why has Cammy been rolling around on the ground screaming all year, or getting into financial relationships with the cartel against the advice of Tommy? Like, there is a certain, like, kind of recklessness to the character arcs, or an aimlessness that I think you're also right to point out.
What is this season about? What is the story of this season?
I mean, do you want me really to answer that?
Well, sure.
My answer to that would be actually one that I am a little less interested in, which is the mortality. That the reason why they brought Sam Elliott in, the reason why they've been confronted with, like, multiple workplace deaths, and the reason why that guy's whole, like I made my 20 years, I get the watch thing, is, like, the idea that this industry just, like, grinds you up and spits you out. That's
it's beautiful.
Most generous read of, like, what's been happening.
I would like to reiterate, just in case, you know, parts are clipped or not clipped, I would just like to say that this entire exercise of this television show this season has been despicable.
Okay.
That said, what is most frustrating
but you know
is...
what?
Wait, let me finish.
Okay. All right.
Every so often, a compelling idea wanders across the screen, like when Fred Armisen would play former Governor David Patterson of New York. That idea that you just talked about, that was in that scene where Boss gets his watch, is compelling. The one good episode this season that I think was the funeral episode actually had some pathos to it.
Yes, that was quite good.
The rest of it
was also indicative of, like, making all of those people be together anywhere else other than the kitchen at Tommy and Angela's house, where seemingly 9 people live now. Yes, and the fact that the great Sam Elliott, who looks great, by the way, and does not look near death. Sam Elliott looks better than I do with his shirt off. Straight up. The fact, though, that he's being asked to play someone who is on death's door and playing the same seated note of resignation and regret for 8 straight episodes. Until Cheyenne came along. Until a unlicensed physical therapist, exotic dancer, swims laps in front of him. And instead of just letting that scene, which is entirely unnecessary to the plot of the season, just play out and be what it is. But there's no such thing as unnecessary to the plot of the season because nothing matters. That's right. So maybe it is the perfect show for our time.
But the fact that even within a just sort of nonsense spew of what life is or isn't, there has to be just a little parenthetical for Taylor's sake where the 20-year-old dancer says to the 80-year-old, I'd definitely have sex with you if the numbers just were a little bit different. And he's like, cool. I would have sex with you too. And everyone, they look at each other like, okay, we get it.
Yeah.
We get it.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the world that Taylor wants for us, where people are honest about their sexual prospects.
Hey, if we're talking about being honest, I just want to say this.
Yeah.
We have watched lots of TV over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
There's been plenty that you would probably say is better than Landman that you give up on midway through. And somehow, some reason, you have been coming back for more to the trough every week, drilling away to see if you strike oil.
I am not immune to the culture that we exist in. Okay? I'm aware of the first takeification of sports. I'm okay dabbling a little bit now that we're video stars. Mm-hmm. Some of us more than others. So I was willing to engage in that kind of conversation. But, if there's one thing that an 800-page book about the sweep of modern German history has taught me, it's that maybe it's time to call it.
We got one more. I need you for one more. We got to find out how it ends.
It's been renewed. Here's what I would like. I would like the workplace drama I am most interested in right now is the executive suite at Peacock watching this season play out, thinking about the next 5 years of their life.
I mean, here's one version of that, which is, this is great. He's obviously not worried about these shows.
That is smart. He's shorting his own shows, and he's about to make a bigger he's saving all the good ideas.
Yeah.
Just so we have it on the record. When you said...
That would be amazing if he was like, I'm detonating this so that they don't even want it.
So Sicario, the series, premieres on Peacock in 2028.
Don't tempt me with a good time.
I know. I'm just saying. I also want to be clear. I just want to have this on the record since we are on camera right now. When you say that you don't expect me back for the next season of Landman, do you already have a new co-host in mind?
It's Sam Elliott.
Shirtless.
And Cheyenne.
Guys, first of all, you both look great. Any updates in your relationship status?
Yeah.
Terrific.
Yeah.
Terrific. Well, let's see Amy Poehler do that, Kaya. I mean, we really brought it home.
I think that your criticisms are all really valid.
Oh, I think your criticisms are valid too. What were they? Was it more about roommate assignments? Maybe just more thought or care should have been put into that?
Thanks to Golden Globe winning producer Kaya McMullen. Thanks to Kai Grady. Thanks to Andy Greenwald for always shooting from the hip. I
can't help it.
They can't tell you. They can't say that you're bought and paid for.
They will, but the evidence suggests otherwise. They will.
We'll be back on Thursday to talk a little bit of Pitt. Let me see. Actually, hold on a second.
Yeah.
Is there anything other than the Pitt coming out?
I think it might be Ponies o'clock.
Oh, geez. Yeah, it's hijacking Ponies
this week. And when's Night of the Seven Kingdoms?
That is
next week.
Next week.
Tell the people. Some of us have already watched Ponies. I'm good. I do the homework. Once.
Amazing performance by you today. It's really a throwback.
I've got nothing left to lose.
Thanks to Andy for everything he does for this show.
Oh, so we're keeping the part where you open your computer and say, oh, whoops.
I think it's fine. It's the end of the pod. Nobody cares, right?
This is when the real heads tune in.
Do you want to actually do 5 minutes after dark right now about the Eagles? Or is Sheil having you on the Ringer Philly special?
I already recorded.
Did you?
No. You want to talk about the Eagles?
Do you want to talk about the Eagles?
What's your take?
That for as much as I love them as an institution, and for as much as I have historically enjoyed cheering for this iteration of the team, this was a miserable fucking experience for the last couple of months, and I'm not happy that it's over, and I'm not happy that the Eagles lost to the Niners, but I'm glad I do not have to watch 19 points a game again.
No, this was a joyless slog.
I love the defense. I love men who are on the offense.
They do.
But I did not enjoy how those men came together and worked together.
Nor did I like the week-to-week gaslighting of, we have to do a little bit of better job of communicating and do a little bit better in those situations, and we're just ready to, once we get on the same page.
Yeah, I'm glad the press conferences are over. I'm glad it's Howie season. Let that man cook. And I'm curious to see what happens with the offensive coordinator job.
Who you got?
I mean, you know me, I'm a mad scientist. I would love Mike McD. I would love Cliff. You know?
And I'm just a vibes guy. So the fact that Vic Fangio just walked out of Miami rather than work for Mike McDaniel, the idea of them both being at the NovaCare complex is very fun.
Team of rivals, right? Worked for Lincoln.
And who among us is more like Abraham Lincoln than Nicholas Sirianni? Just a man of great vision, of temperate spirit.
Yeah.
It's really beautiful. I haven't watched
No.
I have not watched as many Ken Burns documentaries as you. Yeah, I am at peace. We won the Super Bowl. That's awesome. If we had not won the Super Bowl last year and this was the follow-up.
I have to tell you something.
Yeah.
You're not at peace.
Compared to what I could have been?
Sure. Yeah.
Do you think that this was a classic post-game podcast for me in terms of like, do you think my energy matched?
I do wonder what your Landman takes would have been if you had watched Landman earlier in the week.
I would have been like, Ainsley makes some good points. She's just trying to have a good time. And Pagan's kind of a buzzkill. That's probably true. I spend a lot more time, like when we text, you know, I think it's unsurprising. Like our friend Zach he's in the X's and O's.
Yes.
He's crushing the all-22. He has a lot of points of view about under center, play action, how it could be deployed.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Fred Johnson and Jordan Davis seem like beautiful men. I enjoy when they play fun games on Instagram for the social media team, and I want them to be happy.
Yeah. And
the team let them down, especially Jordan Davis,
right?
And Nakobe Dean.
We have to find out who's responsible for this. That's your vibe.
Like Tim Robinson in the hot dog seat. Who's responsible for the way I feel? Yeah. It's Kevin Patullo and Nicholas Honest Abe Sirianni. And I am. This has never happened in my modern sports fandom, where I am actually so eager for next weekend. I actually was like, it seems so nice to have a psychologically uncomplicated weekend in my future. But it's frustrating because this whole thing was wide open. And if they had just been able to actually have a semi-decent offense, I think we could have.
Well, this is your opportunity to become a true Angelino. Get behind the Rams.
Is that where you're at?
No.
Who you got?
I think the Bears.
You like our new villain, Ben Johnson.
It's football, man. It's not the United Nations. Like, I don't understand. Why are people scandalized that he was like, fuck the Packers? Like, same. I don't have nothing against the Packers. I'm just like, it's football.
Do you feel like
we have to be like that?
Do we have to adopt a horse in the NFC?
No. I mean, I guess I do not like the Broncos. I guess I kind of like the Seahawks, and I want Mina to be happy.
But that's NFC. I feel like it is incumbent upon us now that we have actually had sustained success and we are not perpetual underdogs. I feel like Buffalo.
They deserve it.
I want Buffalo to win. I do. That's a town that
You've always been a Kathy Hochul guy.
Look what she did in 9 days when she had a little pep in her step, thanks to Gracie Mansion, new energy.
That's right.
Did you mention Kathy Hochul because I mentioned former Governor David Patterson and you wanted to prove your bona fides as an upstate guy?
Do you call it bona fides or bona fides?
I say bona fides.
Yeah, I say that too.
Do you say niche or niche?
Niche.
Okay.
What do you say?
I kind of read the room.
Niche or niche?
Niche.
All right, we can wrap it up.
Okay.
That's how we wrap it up.
If we're nothing if not niche.
It's a great podcast. It's one of my favorites. My last one was memorable.